It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome in on Hump Day. Oh, yeah. Nice to have you aboard on this 2nd of November. It is the tipping point, you could say. College football, right? We're halfway through the NFL. We're a little bit more than halfway. We're like almost two-thirds of the way through college football. That's why we got the college football playoff first poll of the year, and Tennessee is number 1, and Georgia number 2. So you got a 1 versus 2, which makes this exercise of the playoff committee putting out their first poll kind of funny to me, because it's all going to change next week for sure, right? So Tennessee's 1, Clemson is 4. That would be your first matchup. Ohio State 2, and Georgia is 3. 2-3. Well, Georgia's out if they lose. If Tennessee loses, most likely they're out, because waiting in the wings at number 5 is
Michigan. Undefeated.
Oh, yeah, Michigan. Michigan's undefeated. Then Alabama at 6. I think it's the first time since they've done this poll that Alabama's not in the front top 4 in the game, in the semis to begin with. So you got Michigan 5, Alabama 6, TCU still undefeated is 7. Oregon with 1 loss is at 8. LSU, which plays Alabama, could put themselves in a better position. They wouldn't get all the way to 4, but they are sitting at 10. Ole Miss is at 11. Tulane is 19. And UCF, which is coming to town on Saturday, is number 25. Do you know, by the way, what the Tigers' record is since 2015, when this role really began? Really 14 it began, but 15 is when they started playing top 25 teams. J-Mo, very quickly, what do you think Memphis's record is against top 25 teams at home since 15?
At home, 5-0.
8-1.
How about that? Who was the one? The one has to be UCF the year they didn't lose a game, right? No?
Yeah, I would say that's probably correct.
Yeah.
How about this stat? This is a stat nobody knows now. The 8-1's out there. No one knows that I know of except you and me now. What do you think the Tigers' record since 2014, when this all began? What is their record after a bye?
They haven't lost.
That's very good.
Yeah.
They're 10-0. 10-0 after a bye week. So you take into account 10-0 after a bye week. You take into account 8-1 against top 25 teams in Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. You got to think the Tigers are going to win. Look, even Vegas is leery of this because they've only established UCF as a 3.5-point favorite. The same UCF team that at home beat Cincinnati and broke their 21-game conference regular season winning streak.
And homecoming is another big factor in all that, too. I mean, that's going to get people going.
Hopefully there's a crowd there. Hopefully there's not going to be rain. It's a crazy thing. Up until yesterday, it was going to be a beautiful day. Then I saw it was a 100% chance of rain yesterday. I did hear my buddy Ron Childers say that the rain could happen early, and so you might get clear skies after the morning rainfall. I'm waiting for my weather guy. Here we go.
Hopefully it clears up in that regard. But also
now it's down to 70% chance of rain.
Going down. We like that.
Like that.
But like you said, 3.5-point favorites at home. Generally, home field advantage is worth like 2.5 points or something like that. So that's only a 5-point dog on the. No, it would be. They would be 5-point favorites on the road. So that's not a bad sign at all for the University of Memphis. Vegas likes something about them this week.
Because they've competed with everybody. I mean, they lost to ECU. Now, they turned the ball over a bunch in that game. And here's something, again, only you and I know. UCF is -6 on the year in giveaway takeaway. Now, before this losing streak, the U of M was +9 in giveaway takeaway. They're still plus I think it's 3. It could be 4. But they're -6. That means they've had 6 more gives getting the ball turned over than they've had takes.
And I've got to imagine those are a lot of fumbles, too. They are fumble prone. I watched them play an early weekday game against Louisville.
Well, Plumlee's thrown 6 picks, too.
Oh, it's picks. Okay, well, then there you go. I just assumed because they're running it so much or throwing behind the line of scrimmage.
They're -4 in interceptions, and they're -2 in fumbles.
Well, I saw them play a game, early weekday game against Louisville that was just an absolute stinker. I mean, I don't know how good Louisville is, but Louisville was able to go into Central Florida and beat them at home. So they're certainly beatable, and we saw them lose at East Carolina too. So certainly beatable on the road this week at Memphis. Yeah. You got to feel good, especially homecoming. Everybody's got to go out. A big home field advantage would certainly help Memphis quite a bit.
There is some breaking news this morning that we just heard about. We thank Zach Boyd for this heads up. It is being reported by Jeff Goodman, who's pretty darn good at these things, that Kansas has self-imposed a 4-game suspension for Bill Self and Curtis Townsend, his assistant, to begin this season. The program will also self-impose some recruiting restrictions. This goes back 3 years now to the FBI wiretap and all the stuff they found on Bill Self talking to representatives. I think it was Nike, right? It was the Nike rep that he was talking to about.
I believe it was Adidas.
Oh, it was Adidas? Okay. Definitely don't want to imply that Nike would do anything wrong. We love Nike in this town. We love Nike in this town. So Self's going to miss the Champions Classic against Duke. That's November the 15th. I think that's that thing in Chicago where Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, and Michigan State usually play, it seems.
Right.
Okay. Norm Roberts will be the acting coach. Kansas, by the way, they got to feel something bad's going to happen because they're not even expected to receive the actual penalties from the NCAA until after the season.
Yeah, I don't think you would do this unless you knew something was coming. But also, I mean, what do you lose? You have a game against Omaha, North Dakota State. The Duke game is obviously big, but they play that but it's November basketball, and in Southern Utah.
In Southern Utah?
So it's really, I mean, what are you doing? But anything that can benefit you later after the season when those sanctions come in, I guess you do it.
Well, does that soften the blow? I mean, does the NCAA look at this and they go, oh, wow, look at Bill. He missed 4 games this year. We've got to go easier now because look at what they sacrificed, the 1 game against Duke.
Well, would it count if they do suspend him for a certain amount of games? Would those count towards it? I would have to imagine so, and I can't remember if he sat any out last year or not. I just don't remember. But if you can add them up a few at a time at this point, maybe you can get a few less later. But I don't know.
I don't know what it does. Grizz tonight at Portland. I don't know who's going to play. And I got to tell you, an insider, cannot say who it is, told me, because we talked about yesterday, the lack of what it seemed like to compete in the last 2 games at Utah. And this person said to me, Wolo, I think the flu bug had a lot to do with that. Bain's not played. Ja didn't play the first game. Ravia couldn't play. Now you got the jaw with Steven Adams. That's different. But the whole team has been affected by the flu, maybe some to much more of a degree. Maybe they were a bit lethargic, still some symptoms of the flu, but good enough to play. So the first loss, I mean, if we're going to be an apologist, let's go all the way. First loss to Dallas, that was a schedule loss. And now this lethargic, particularly defensive, particularly defending the 3, we can chalk off to maybe being the flu. No, I'm serious. The schedule loss, that's a bunch of malarkey. Everybody's going to go through that.
Everyone has scheduled.
When you're Ja's age, what is he now, 24? Come on. You could play every day, it seems to me. There's nobody on that team that is so old that would be affected that much. I mean, it's not like you had to run through the airport, feel the stress of wondering if your connection is going to be there, wondering if you can get a carry-on bag on or you're going to have to check it at the gate. I mean, none of that stress. They didn't have to worry about a cheap hotel room and you're going to stay up all night. They're staying in 4 Seasons or Ritz-Carltons. They're in charter airplanes.
King size bed too. I mean,
come on.
History repeats itself a little bit, Dave. A famous, maybe greatest basketball player of all time once went to Utah and had quote unquote the flu, but now it's reputed. Now maybe he was hungover. So we're not saying these guys are hungover in this case, but it happens in Utah. Sometimes you call it the flu.
Well,
you had a little bit too much to drink the night before.
That particular player could play under any circumstance.
That's right.
He had legit 101-degree fever and beat Cleveland in a playoff game.
Still won.
We're talking MJ.
Food poisoning.
Come on.
Utah's notorious for food poisoning their opponents.
But seriously, if there was flu, that would make you a half a step slow.
Absolutely.
But the Grizzlies, where are they as a team in the NBA defensive rankings?
Second to last.
Yeah. How many games have they given up 120 points in?
Ooh, I mean, a lot, because their defensive rating is 119, so they're almost averaging up 120 points a game.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It is not a good look at all. And I got to mention last night's World Series where we saw a record tied. 5 home runs in a game. Poor Lance McCullers, because he made history. He's the first pitcher in a World Series to give up 5 home runs. It sure seemed to me, because our friend Tim Doolin texts me early on. He says, holy cow. The Phillies are just waiting on his fastball. On his curveball. They're just sitting on the breaker, waiting for it to come and then just skyrocketing these things. And you know what? That is his trait. I think he has thrown the second fewest fastballs of any pitcher in the major leagues this year. So they're waiting on the curve or a slider. A couple of them hung. He had a bad night, and on top of that, now there's speculation. Although the Astros say it's malarkey, but did you see Bryce Harper call Bohm over before his home run and tell him something? So there's a sense from many people, though they can't figure out what it is, that McCullers was tipping off his pitches. So they knew what was coming, and then it was like batting practice, and 5 home runs that were all pretty darn well hit. Schwarber, my gosh, he had a foul ball later, an at-bat that went like 1,000 miles.
Maybe he was tipping his pitches then. Or, like you said, it could have just been sitting on the curveball. Whatever the case might be, the home runs seemed to come in bunches once they started coming. The first one was Bryce Harper, right? And then after that, the wheels just fell off.
So now it comes down to tonight, game number 4.
Back-to-back. Rarity in the World Series.
And I think it's must-win for the Astros. Because if it's 2-2 and they still have the last 2 games at home, I think the Astros are still, we saw from the regular season, the better team. The Phillies are the hotter team. The Astros, all told, I think, are still the better team. However, they lose tonight. Now it's 3-1. You don't come back from 3-1 very often.
No, you certainly do not. And like you said, and you give them one more game, 3-1, and the next game is also in Philadelphia. They got a day to prepare themselves. Everyone's going to buy their tickets.
Well,
whole different animal.
The numbers are already in Philly's favor. You know that when a team wins Game 3 after the series is tied 1-1, 65% of the time, the winning team from Game 3 goes on to win the World Series. So we will be watching that tonight for sure, along with the Grizz. Should be a great evening. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. A reminder to you, please go check out the Relax at Home sale. You will find deals on massage chairs. You will find deals on new home theater seating, which is the coolest thing that there is. I mean, you feel like you're in the movie theater. And if you get one of those big screens and you get the surround sound, why would you even leave your home? Also, don't forget, if you like to have folks come over and you're looking for some friendly competition, we got pool tables, we got shuffleboard, we got air hockey, we got state-of-the-art everything you can do with your family and your friends, and their saunas and hot tubs and patio furniture, all part of the Relax at Home sale at Family Leisure. And our show, as always, is presented by the good folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's in Olive Branch, where they have this new opportunity for you that's all about a program with deferred payments. That's right. This financing thing runs until January. You can defer your first payment on any new Hyundai. I love those Santa Fe's. Deals on Tucsons. It's amazing. But you don't pay for 3 months, 90 days. After you purchase your new Santa Fe, you don't have to make your first car payment for 3 months, 90 days. What a deal at Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Craft Road, first exit in Mississippi, off Highway 78. We love to do a thing on Wednesdays. We call it the inane thing that coaches and players say. J-Mo puts this together every week, and you never know what you're going to hear.
We've had opportunities to win a lot of football games. That's facts.
That's the minutia. That's the playmaking.
We've won one game in a row 5 times. That's all we've done.
We've been getting back to the fundamentals. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. Kind of simple as that. We practice each week. Believe it or not, we go over the fundamentals.
Everything that we want is on the other side of hard.
And we got to keep a lid on it. If you don't keep a lid on it in the NFL, man, you don't give yourself a chance to play.
You know, we kind of pride ourselves on trying to get touchdowns.
When you're not keeping a lid on it, you got to keep a lid on it.
The line of scrimmage goes all the way around the globe in those situations.
And our inability to keep a lid on it with Steelers versus Steelers.
I think that's the Brown style of football. You know, you get knocked down, you just get back up. You get knocked down again, you just get back up.
We didn't keep a lid on it today, guys.
I had a fan grab my hand coming out, saying hi to the fans. He said, kick it, kick it. That's all he said to me was kick it. Appreciate it.
Sometimes the best things that you can say are to say nothing.
Let's see if we can handle the pressure better and not shoot ourselves in the foot.
We just kept shooting ourselves in the foot.
Keep shooting ourselves in the foot.
I don't give a crap what the stats say.
It's kind of like a heavyweight fight. We just got to keep going, keep swinging, keep getting up.
We want to get as many punches as possible.
There's some punching and raking going on all the time.
If you get guys to keep playing, you can survive a barrage of jabs, to the chin. Keep your head down and just keep chopping wood.
Well, Coach Parcells used to say the only way to win close games is win close games.
Sean used to say all the time, confidence born out of demonstrated ability.
I've never shied away from pressure. I think that you got to look right at it and just keep going and keep believing and stay the course.
This is when you're tested, and these adversities provide opportunities.
There's no such thing as adversity.
I thought our eyes weren't in the right place.
I don't blink.
We got to see it with clear eyes.
He doesn't blink.
There's nothing comfortable about it, but we see it with clear eyes.
Well, it's still dark. Until you win ball games consistently and play 4 quarters consistently, it's going to be dark.
Words are not going to get it done, man. Actions are, and so we're going to work hard to say very little and roll our sleeves up.
My mom's cousin, I'm not even claiming them, and they didn't sit in our sections. They just live in Philly, and they grew up in Pittsburgh. And my mom's cousin, she's like, hey, they want to say hello to you before the game. I'm like, well, they know they can't wear Steelers stuff and come on the sideline. She's like, well, we're not giving them on the sideline. And they were wearing Steelers gear. So the cute Christmas cards with this one and my other son, they will not be receiving one of those cute Christmas cards this week.
That's Nick Sirianni. We got a little family revolution going on right there, no doubt about that. I won't blink when I say this, which was very cute the way you put that together, J-Mo. But my favorite line was from Robert Saleh, who said, the line of scrimmage goes all the way around the globe in those situations. That's like the equator, right?
That's right.
It goes all the way. We learned something today. It's like the plane. The plane of the end zone, it goes all the way from the ground up to the heavens. I guess some point it must intersect with that line that goes all the way around the globe.
And they're playing also in London. They're playing in Germany now.
Yeah.
So literally football, the line of scrimmage goes all the way around the globe.
All the way around the globe. And those are beautiful, inane things that coaches and players all like to say. You got to explain this to me before we take our first break. And of course, as always, Brett Norsworthy is going to join us. The last I knew, Emi Udoka was the coach of the Boston Celtics, right?
That's correct.
And he's paid by the Boston Celtics, although I think he's suspended now without pay.
That's correct.
For alleged mistreatment of a worker in the workplace. With, apparently we're learning more very rough language on this person, and then an affair with this person, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So he's under contract to this team. He's being punished for alleged very poor behavior that the NBA all agreed on, right?
That's right.
Now, he used to coach in Brooklyn. A lot of people thought he was responsible for some of the success they had as an assistant. The Nets fire Steve Nash, in which case the GM says the players weren't even consulted, which I have a hard time believing. And this place is a total zoo with the comments that Kyrie Irving has made, and you got your bigger star, Kevin Durant, saying they should have fired the coach and the general manager back in the summer, and he wanted out. And then he changed his mind. Now he's Steve Nash's buddy because he was shocked by this firing of Steve Nash yesterday. And the plan is that they're going to hire Ime Udoka. How can that work? How can they take a coach who is currently working at another organization within the same conference of the NBA? How can they then just hire him when he's been suspended by the team and the league endorsed the suspension? Please explain to me how Udoka is eligible to be hired by the Nets. And by the way, the Celtics want him out so bad, they go, we'll give him to you. We don't even want anything in compensation.
That's got to be like 6 red flags right there, that last part alone. Just the fact they're going to give him to you after the Celtics had such a successful season last year, it's got to raise a lot of flags. My only answer is the Nets just have a flair for the dramatic. I mean, they just love drama in every which way possible. And Sean Marks, I mean, what you said about Sean Marks, that guy needs to go immediately. I mean, they had so many good players. We talked about Jared Allen on the Cavs. They traded all of their depth, all of their role players for James Harden, and then parlay James Harden into Ben Simmons. Now, whether or not you think Kyrie and KD had say in that, and also they've been undermining Steve Nash since before he even got the job.
He never had a chance.
Sean Marks got to get out of here. I don't understand what's going on in Brooklyn. And I get the finger pointing at KD and Kyrie, which is coming from a lot of people. I totally understand that. But these guys are scoring like 35 points together a night. Whether or not you think they're involved in all these terrible decisions, that's a whole other story. They're doing all they can. I mean, they've got to get some help in there. And Sean Marks, I think, is the first one that needs to go.
I'm just saying to you, they used to call the old Yankees the Bronx Zoo. The zoo moved to Brooklyn.
That's right.
That place is just so inept. I can't believe that they are going to hire this guy and that the league is going to allow it.
Crazy.
It's the first time I got a question to Adam Silver and his role in all of what's going on there. This is not a good look for the league, in my estimation, and I got to wonder if Adam Silver's predecessor would have allowed all of this stuff to occur. I just can't imagine David Stern would have allowed it.
He wouldn't allow the player empowerment to begin with how much power they've given KD and Kyrie in that front office.
Crazy. This portion of our show is brought to you by Poppy's Pills. That's the Pilsner from Grind City, made in Memphis. You can get it in 6-packs or 15-packs in all of your favorite spirit shops around town, including my favorite spirit shop at Poplar and St. Nick. This is the Pilsner that is refreshing. It's going to be hot today. This could be it. If you go play golf, maybe you're going to work on your lawn real quick. Maybe you're going to pick up some leaves early on. You're thirsty. At the end, here's the Pilsner made in Memphis called Poppy's Pills that I promise you, served ice cold, will absolutely refresh you. So if you're definitely sweating at the end of the day today, this is the way to refresh. Go with the Pilsner that everybody's talking about from Grind City. Get yourself a Poppy's Pills. We're back in just a minute. We will hook up with our friend from the SEC. We'll get his thoughts on the very first College Football Playoff Committee's poll. Stats Norsworthy from Sports Time from 3 to 6 right on this radio station is right around the corner.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Looking for a high-efficiency planting solution? The Case IH 2150 Early Riser Planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a rugged row unit for a fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 Early Riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so that you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH Equipment headquarters. If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know: Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswangerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand bottled, taste tested, sent to a few friends, then taste tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Halloween just ended, and I must say I've had a lot of different treats. But I noticed one thing. When it came to the chocolate, and I tried all these chocolate bars, you know, my wife got so much for all of the trick-or-treaters. And trick-or-treating was down this year, at least in my neck of the woods, which was sad because it's her favorite holiday. She couldn't wait for it all. And we, got action early, and then it just kind of, petered out. But my point is this. I tried all these chocolates. None of them, in my mind, can compare with Dinstall's. And if anybody gave Dinstall's for Halloween, that was the most prized, treasured of all the treats that you could have gotten. I start with Cashew Crunch. If I ever bring Cashew Crunch to a gathering, I am the most popular guy in the world. Where'd you get this? Is that coconut? It's the best. It is the best. Between the chocolate, the fudge won a national competition as the best fudge in the world. Cashew Crunch is a signature. They have a pecan brittle that we had. It's right up there with Cashew Crunch. They're brittles. Everything about it. I think it's over for caramel apples, but that doesn't mean you can't get caramel popcorn. It's just the best. Rock candy. That's another thing I used to have as a kid. I tried Dinstall's rock candy. Blew me away how good it is. And there's 5 locations to get your Dinstall's. The one where they make it, Pleasant View, I've got a feeling we're going to be there this Valentine's Day. Then there's downtown. That's the newest one. There's Collierville. There's Germantown. There's where they have it in my neck of the woods where I always go. That's Laurelwood. You can't beat it. The best chocolate, the best everything, the signature for sweets in Memphis. That would be Dinstall's. Brett Norsworthy joins us now. All right, first question, really tough one for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. You have an off week. What are you going to do?
Going to the Tigers game Saturday. See him play UCF. See my buddy John Rice Plumlee.
I love that.
If he plays.
If he plays. Yeah.
The Tigers break that losing streak against one of my least favorite humans on planet Earth, Gus Malzahn.
Wow. Now, when you make a statement like that, I have to ask you why he's one of your least favorite human beings.
I think he's one of the biggest bottom feeders of all time, and what he did to Houston Nutt at Arkansas was despicable then, and it remains so today.
Wow, okay. One thing for sure, you come out and speak your mind. It was not a pretty scene with what happened at Arkansas with Malzahn, who at that time was a high school coach.
Where's he ever left nicely? When has he ever played nice with someone? It's always someone else's fault. And when you fire Tim Horton as your running backs coach, you're a bottom feeder.
All right. Well, it should be an interesting game. I don't know about Plumlee's Mikey Keene is a guy that played well against Memphis last year, and he
really moved the ball well.
He sure did play well just last weekend when UCF was able at home to knock off Cincinnati. And Cincinnati, I think, hadn't lost 21 straight conference games, I believe was the number that was broken up. They're dangerous. And everybody talks about their offense, but their defense is allowing like 16 points a game. Only 2 teams have scored over 20 points against UCF's D.
Dave, it's really the irony of Gus Malzahn. He's supposed to be this offensive whiz kid.
Right.
He wrote a book, and he's won it really, maybe not at Arkansas State that one year, but at Auburn and at UCF, he's won running the ball and playing defense.
Yeah, no.
Now he runs the little play where they all rush to the line of scrimmage and line up real fast, and I love it when invariably when they have the toss sweep and the quarterback and the running back throws it back to the quarterback, the announcers just gush over him like that play's never been run before
right.
in football, and it's been run since the forward pass was created.
Yeah. I don't know. Also, I don't know if he ran a tackle-eligible play because I saw their left tackle has a carry. I don't know, and it wasn't known as a fumble return. So I don't know. They must have given him the ball maybe as a fullback in a power eye in the red zone. I don't know. But I know I think the strength of their team actually is their defense this year, which is not Malzahn's
he knows nothing about defense.
Yeah. All right, let me ask you a little bit about last night. The unveiling for the first time of the college football playoff poll by the committee. Tennessee 1 and Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, Clemson 4. So it would be Tennessee, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia if this held up. We know it's not going to hold up because it's going to change this week when Tennessee plays at Georgia. And by the way, kudos to you. You were the first person I heard on the air, and you said it to us here too, that you thought Tennessee was the number 1 team in the country, and that's exactly what the College Football Playoff Committee said last night.
I don't think it's even close. I think they have, with their body of work, the separation that I think they've attained, and I think it will show this Saturday between the edges when they win, I think, comfortably, easily over Georgia.
Give me your score.
Digits.
Give me your score.
41-27.
Whoa. So they're going to put 41. Look, they put 52 on Alabama, but 41 on Kirby Smart and Georgia's defense. Wow.
Look what they did to LSU at LSU.
True.
LSU, well,
True.
It was an 11 o'clock game. It was still at Baton Rouge. And Kentucky, I'm not trying to make Kentucky world beaters. Pretty solid football team.
I agree.
A pretty solid 8-4 football team. They dismantled them.
Well, here is, and I would love to know if this is the best resume going into the first poll. Seriously. 5 top 25 wins. 5. Has anybody had 5 top 25 wins going into the first college football playoff poll?
I don't know that anybody has that in a season.
I know.
But I certainly not going into the first poll. But you're right. The first poll doesn't make a hill of beans, because after this weekend, it'll all get refigured, and we'll play it out. I love the reaction to it every year, first night. And I think a lot of the negative reaction to it is not a negative reaction to the college football playoff or to the poll or to the pollsters, but it is to college football. A lot of people love to pick at college football. And the off season is really the time that it can, but it rarely can during the season, because we wheel around to Saturday every weekend and we watch it from 11 a.m. to midnight, and we have record ratings every single week, and you see the crowds and you see the intensity. So this is the only chance for a lot of those pinheads to really criticize college football is after the release of the first poll.
Well, the only thing that makes me kind of chuckle is that we get this first poll and we get excited, and that's good, and it's all to promote the game, and I'm all for it, and I can't wait for it to go to 12 or 16. I just can't. But we all know that the winner of the Tennessee-Georgia game is going to be number 1 next week. So,
well, Dave, we know this about the poll. The winner of the SEC is going to be in. We know the winner of the Big Ten is going to get in.
Yep.
If Clemson remains undefeated, they're going to be in. So really, we're having all this hue and cry and gnashing of teeth over one spot. Now, that's going to be a battle. And for TCU that feels aggrieved this morning, keep winning, and they're not going to deny the undefeated champion of the Big 12 either.
No. But here's what could be interesting. I mentioned this earlier in the week. I'm sure that you will find a way to debunk this, but stay with me on this, and it's sheer speculation, and a lot of things would have to happen. But let's just say LSU beats Alabama, okay? And then –
which they can.
Right. Then they beat Tennessee or Georgia in the championship game. And TCU and Clemson win out. So they're in, right? TCU and Oklahoma and Clemson are in. And let's just say Michigan beats Ohio State. Okay? So Michigan and then wins the Big Ten championship, and Ohio State only has that one loss, and that's a close game in the Big Ten championship. Could you see the SEC not getting any team in that circumstance? Because I'm not sure we have ever seen a two-loss team in the playoff, and you would have a one-loss Ohio State team to Michigan that wins the Big Ten, and you have two other undefeateds in TCU and in Clemson. Could that scenario occur?
I don't think you will, because, as I said earlier, the champion of the Big Ten, of the SEC and of the Big Ten are getting in.
Even
Same
with two
scenario,
losses?
The champion of the SEC and the Big Ten will get in.
Okay. That would and this is not going to happen, but that would be a first.
But it could. It sure could.
Yeah.
It's there to happen this year. I think LSU's pretty good, but I think Alabama gets them Saturday at Baton Rouge.
Were you surprised at the mechanics this last week and a half or so of, one, Brian Harsin getting fired? I don't think you were there. Two, John Cohn, who'd been a baseball coach and, got his chops as an AD at Mississippi State, and he's a Mississippi State dude, leaving that school to go to Auburn. Did any of that
the second
shock
straight AD very shocked. Second straight Mississippi State AD, and this isn't Greg Byrne, who it was just a job to him, but Scott Strickland and John Cohen, they went to school there. They had maroon blazers before they became AD there. They had cowbells from high school. John Cohen bled and sweat there. And for him to bolt like this, and if John Cohen thinks he's hired the next coach at Auburn, surely he doesn't think that. They're going to walk in and tell him, John Cohen, this is our football coach, and you better like it. You need to go start fundraising.
When you say that, who does that? Is that the biggest contributor?
There's a couple.
Yeah.
In pro football, well, Jerry Jones is the exception and Jimmy Haslam's the exception. Jerry Jones owns the Cowboys and he owns a piece of the Razorbacks. Jimmy Haslam owns the Browns and he owns a piece of Tennessee football.
Right.
But in college football, there are various power brokers. I'm going to say 4 to 6 to maybe a dozen, that have that much stroke that they can hire and fire coaches. And we know there are at least 2 or 3 at Auburn that are very prominent, including Apple's Tim Cook, that Trump called Tim Apple, and there are others at Auburn that are very influential, and they always are involved in that. John Cohen walks into a place that they're going to tell him who to hire, and then he gets to meet the most powerful person and the most popular person on campus right now, and that's Bruce Pearl.
Yeah. There's no doubt he is the most popular guy on campus. Who do you think becomes that football coach? What's the pool?
I think they get a whale. I think they land something big. That it's wow. They Urban Meyer, Matt Rule, Deion Sanders, something along those lines. I think it is something really big and eye-popping, and Auburn's got to start preparing for life after Nick Saban. And that's their next opening is life after Nick Saban, and that has to at some point end. He turned 71 on Monday on Halloween Day. He turned 71, and it's going to end at some point. But for Auburn, they've won one national championship in the last 75 years, and that was with Cam Newton. Cam ain't walking through that door again.
No. Well, I do think, though,
65 years. I'm sorry, since 57.
If I were a big-time coach, I would look at Auburn a little differently than I would have 5 years ago because Nick Saban is 71.
but you still have that Auburn dysfunction, and they've always had it.
Yeah.
They fired a coach 2 years after winning a national championship.
Right.
They fired Terry Bowden after some success and had a not so gentle parting with Pat Dye. Pat Dye. It was time to move on, and they moved on. They've always had that dysfunction because they're always so motivated by what's going on 160 miles from there,
Sure.
and they're never going to be Alabama ever.
No, I think Alabama's going to stay Alabama.
The only
that
thing they
sure.
ever had on Alabama was they had the 2 Heisman trophies with Pat Sullivan and with Bo Jackson. And then Mark Ingram won one. Well, then they go back up 2 the very next year when Cam wins 1. And now Alabama's gone on this run, and they have 4, and Auburn only has 3.
College basketball starting. The poll came out, the preseason prognostications. 4 of the 5 top teamers are both 2 from Kentucky, no surprise, with Schwebe being the player of the year and the defensive player of the year. And then 2 from Tennessee. Is that it? 1-2? Is that going to be Kentucky, Tennessee in your mind?
I think Arkansas is going to have something to do with that, even though they got taken apart in the not so super secret scrimmage down at Austin to open Texas's new almost $400 million arena. But we know Chris Beard can really coach. I'll just do this right now with anybody right now. I'll bet the Kentucky doesn't win it all, because they've only done it once in all his years there, and that was with a team much more talented than this one.
Man, now you're tempting me. I'll take that bet. That's a lunch bet, and we'll go to Walker Taylor's Germantown commissary.
You got Kentucky winning it all.
Oh, winning it all, or winning the SEC is what we're talking about.
No, winning it all, winning the national championship.
Oh, what the heck? I'll go with that too, just because I want to go.
You had only won once in the last 13 years.
Well, I know you should have won more than that too.
But should have don't get you paid lunch.
That first team that he had, which by the way would have been even better if he stayed at Memphis. But that team that he had, that should have won. That lost to Huggins in the Elite Eight game.
Well, the shoulda Wisconsin in the undefeated year. The shoulda St. Peter's last year. Yeah. There's a lot of shouldas with Cal. Yeah. Well, never has anybody had so much and won so little titles.
And it took Anthony Davis to get him the one. That's for sure. As always, wonderful chatting with you. I know I'll do it again on your show next Tuesday. You'll be right back here next week.
Thank you, Dave. Hope I see you Saturday.
If you come to the press box, you'll see me.
You got it.
Okay. That is our man, Brett Norsworthy on the SEC. He's brought to you in part by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric, and the home of the tune-up. They're the home of a lot of different things, though. You got a plumbing need, 384-3511. You got an electrical need, 384-3511. Of course, the tune-up that gives you a carbon monoxide check at this time of the year, because they got that sophisticated camera that goes into your system and checks it all out. And right now, they're doing this deal where if you buy a cooling system, you will get a free furnace. Please go check it out. 384-3511. They're the premier service company when it comes to heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. You know, they are Conway. We are back in just 1 second. Jarvo, who's been under the weather, we'll see what he thinks about Memphis and Central Florida, the Grizzlies, and have they been sick too like him? We'll find out in a minute.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Well, I'm a orthopedic surgeon, board certified.
Meet Dr. John Herzog, who's certainly done his share of knee and hip replacements. But these days, he's encouraging his patients to look at regenerative medicine options, now available at QC Kinetics.
I'm kind of the anti-surgeon right now, and a lot of my buddies, if they hear me talking, they're going to give me a call.
Dr. Herzog says advances in regenerative medicine can give your achy joints lasting relief, using highly concentrated healing agents from your own body to repair and restore damaged tissue.
We take the fluid out of you, do, we concentrate it and put it in an area where they couldn't normally get to and facilitate healing.
Are you suffering from constant pain due to arthritis or injury? Maybe it's time to look at alternatives to drugs and surgery at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in these exciting treatments.
What could be more natural than using your own body to heal yourself?
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics 901-445-1010. That's 901-445-1010. 901-445-1010.
It's gotten colder outside, and the folks at Family Leisure want you to relax at home in your new massage chair or catch a game in your new home theater set. The Relax at Home sale is going on right now at Family Leisure with great deals on pool tables or shuffleboards, or enjoy a game with all your friends and your family. Also on sale now, saunas, hot tubs, patio furniture. It's the Relax at Home sale. Come by Family Leisure, I-40 and Whidden Road. That's where you'll relax at home.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder. Depending on how long you've been around, you've likely known my name for 30 years. Perhaps for my 20 years as the morning show on Kix 106 as the Young and Elder Show, or my 15 years at Brian Elder Roofing. So obviously, my reputation means everything to me. One terrible customer experience could tarnish a third of a century of goodwill. My reputation for quality and strong relationships is our main focus. We're the highest certification, a platinum preferred contractor with Owens Corning. If you have a business or a commercial building, we're the highest certification for warranties with GAF and Mulehide products. We don't come at you in sales mode. If you got a problem, sometimes the solution is just to fix the problem. Call me right now. I'll come out and see you today. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Qatar, here we come.
Christian's travel agency has one
All right,
goal.
talk to you soon.
The world's biggest soccer tourney.
The hotel is 7 miles from the stadium. Are you serious? Did you email the transportation company?
Now he needs an Arabic interpreter on his roster.
I don't speak it either.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in. Final segment on Hump Day Wednesday. Don't forget the Grizzlies tonight and World Series game number 4. Critical game for the Astros. Phillies fans sitting at the edge of their seats, almost breathless. Can't wait for that. It's going to be a fun evening tonight. Our friend Jarvis Greer, who we missed last week, he was not on the television screen, was under the weather. I hope he's okay now. I know he's going to join us. And let's start there. You feeling better?
Yeah, much better. Back to being me.
All right. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And you will be on the call with us on Saturday against UCF, correct?
That is correct. Big game, homecoming. Also, they're going to honor Billy Spook Murphy at the game, which is a great thing because, the complex is named after. He was my athletic director when I was running around there trying to play. And, of course, he's the all-time winningest head football coach in Tiger history. 91 and 44 was his record, including the first ever win over Ole Miss.
Right.
I think they were number 1
in
the nation at the time. And he did a lot of great things for the school and for the program.
They're asking all the fans to make it a blue out. So wear blue if you're coming to the game. We hope there's a great crowd and hope the weather holds off. Your man Childers said last night it could be done with the rain by the time the ball game takes place. So I certainly hope that is the case. I'm curious, though. Did Billy Murphy, when you were there, he was already the AD.
Correct.
Did he come around, though? I mean, come on, let's face it. He was a football coach. That was his thing.
Oh, yeah. Shoot, yeah. He would come in the cafeteria back when, South Hall was the athletic dorm at the time, back when we had athletic dorms. And he would come through the lunch line, and he'd come meet with everybody. He even asked me once about, I had a knee coming out of high school, asked me how I was doing. And he was very affable and very friendly to the players. I think he was more friendly to the players as an athletic director than he was as a head football coach.
Sure.
He was known as a hard ass.
Yeah.
And but that was he was a former Marine, and that's the way he ran his camp. And those Memphis teams back then would beat your butt for the football. It had to be to run up a record like that against some good competition later. Because he got Memphis out of being like the Southern Independent thing where you're playing Quantico, Virginia Marines,
right.
Playing the
he got to play
playing
Ole
the big boys
Miss,
of the SEC,
Mississippi
That's right.
State, and those schools, and then it evolved, and you had what would have been an unbelievable conference if you could have aligned the old Metro into a football league. Because
it'd be a
you had
league now.
you had South
Yeah.
Carolina, you had Georgia Tech, you had
Florida State,
Florida
Virginia
State,
Tech.
and Virginia Tech to go along with
Mhm.
Cincinnati, Louisville, Memphis, Southern Miss. I mean that would have been an unbelievable football league. But Florida State, I guess, didn't
And it would
really
have been
want
a
to
good
do it.
basketball league too. It
It
would have
was
been a really good
it
basketball
was
league.
a great basketball league for years, and then you threw in the basketball schools like Marquette. Oh yeah, that was absolutely a lot of fun. Who do you think we see at quarterback this week? And we'll know more when we meet with the coaches tomorrow. But will Plumlee be able to play? Will Keene be the guy who really kind of hurt Cincinnati and Memphis a year ago?
Well, we saw Keene play against the Tigers last year, like you said, because their quarterback was hurt. And was that Gabriel?
It was Dylan. It was Gabriel.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel. Yeah, he was hurt, and he did it. He did a good job against Memphis, but that was also the game that Seth Hennigan was hurt, and
Right.
the one game he's been hurt in his career. And I think Memphis threw 5 interceptions that game with a guy that really wasn't supposed to be playing quarterback. He was the 4th-string quarterback, remember? But I think the number 2 left after the season. Well, you lose Grant Gunnell to injury, and the guy that was going to be the number 2 left because he wanted to be number 1. And so you end up with number 3 and number 4, and number 4 played in the game. And it was just, Memphis played pretty good defensively, but it couldn't get much done offensively throwing the football. Plumlee is as much of a runner as he is a passer.
Yeah.
And, he got hit really helmet-to-helmet contact trying to, stretch out a play, going out of bounds, and got knocked a little loopy. And, it's a concussion protocol thing, but it's been a week now. And I would say, usually they give you a week to see if the stars align and everything is clear. And if he comes out of that, we'll see Plumlee. But I don't know. It doesn't matter at this point. Whoever they throw out there, the Tigers got to whoop them.
And
get after it.
here to me, and I mentioned this a little earlier when we had Brett Norsworthy on. You got to score, and this is a thing that everybody's talking about. Malzahn's this offensive genius. Well, his defensive coordinator is doing a heck of a job because they give up 16 points a game. Only 2 teams have scored more than 20 points on them. So, and the one game they lost pretty convincingly, dominating, you could say, was the loss at East Carolina, a team that Memphis should have beaten. But they turned the ball over, and they're -6 in giveaway takeaway. So, if you can turn them over, you got a chance, but you really are going to have a rough time scoring the football.
Well, we've seen this Memphis offense can put up some points, but it's also been its own worst enemy. With Seth Hennigan has been an excellent quarterback at protecting the football, but this year just hadn't really gone that way for him. He's got 5 picks, and several of them, a couple of them have been off of the receiver's hands going into the other team, which that really hurts. And you have to protect the football yourself. Memphis doesn't fumble the football really, and only 2 or 3 fumbles on the whole year. So if Memphis can protect the football, I think the Tigers can score against UCF. I don't see any reason why they couldn't score because, they've been able to move the ball other than Mississippi State. But that was a game where you had 6 drop passes where you could have moved the football against them, and they did in the second half. So I don't think it's a question of whether Tigers can move the football against them, whether they'll score and protect the football. Memphis' problem is shooting itself in the foot. We just make too many mistakes and figure out a way to lose the game rather than to win. And that's a disturbing trend, but, it's also a trend that can be snapped when you're getting some people back healthy. You got Q is back playing at free safety now, and I think LaDainian Polk, who had really started to come on in one of the cornerback spots, is going to be back. And so, you're getting healthy in spots you need to get healthy, especially along the offensive line, too.
And probably some mental health that you needed with the bye week because, let's face it, those 3 straight heartbreaking weeks, you just need to step away. I know even myself. I sit here and I feel a whole lot better than I did after that game at Tulane. Jarvis, as always, we appreciate it. Looking forward to sitting next to you at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium on Saturday.
Hey, it's going to be a fun one. Hey, it's homecoming. It's a blue out. Go out there and have some fun. Support the Tigers. It's going to be and it's against a really good old rival who you want to beat. You beat them the last time you were here. Remember that 50-49?
I do remember it.
Game? That was awesome.
Yeah,
so maybe we see another one of those shootouts.
I hope so. Glad you're feeling better. Thank you, Jarvis.
All right, Dave.
That's Jarvo. He's brought to you by AmeriCare. If you've got a family member that is getting up there in age a little bit, now you're starting to worry. Should they stay at home alone? No. You've got a place like AmeriCare. You've got 3 locations in Memphis, South Breeze at 3168 Hacks Cross Road, Schilling Gardens in Collierville, Olive Grove Terrace in Olive Branch. Those 3 AmeriCare places are all about assisted living, or if you need memory care, and they do it a different way. They do it with the wellness program. A lot of people think about aging with, okay, got to have them exercise a little bit, maybe make sure they're in some sort of program, but it's really about where you live that makes it feel like home. It's a psychological thing. Wellness, living happier. That's what they do in a more intimate community, easier to make friends, fun activities. Some are designed specifically, like if you have bad balance, they reduce the risk of falling. It's all about total health. That's what you get with 3 locations of AmeriCare in Memphis. South Breeze, Schilling Gardens, and Olive Grove Terrace. That'll do it for us. Johnny Radio is next. We'll see you tomorrow.
I often say they've set the bar for the way